Hey Geeks, welcome to Geek Speak TV Live. I'm your host Patrick Henry, coming to you from the Geek Speak TV studios. This is for the week ending July 24th. This is an update in the Week in Geek, kind of giving you a review of everything that happened. If you did not know, this was Comic-Con weekend, so we were at Comic-Con. If you want more information before I get started, go to our website, www.geekspeak.tv. Give us a like and a follow. We have articles posting a few times a week about whatever's going on in the Week in Geek, and then we kind of try to recap them on this show. So anything that I talk about usually is referenced onto our website. If it's not, it's going to be very soon. Also, you can check out our Facebook page, Geek Speak TV. Look for our little icon and give us a like and a follow, and you'll get updates all the time about things like this. But Comic-Con. Let's talk about Comic-Con. Wow, that was it was an interesting time. I arrived on preview night, and preview night was one of those things where historically you were able to walk around freely and you're able to see everything before the main crowd gets there on Thursday. This time preview night was almost as bad as any other night I've ever been to Comic-Con. It was hard to walk around. They weren't selling everything to the public at that night, so you actually kind of defeated the purpose of preview night, because usually that's for the industry people to go ahead and go in there and get the items that they weren't able to get because they're working or they're covering events like I was, and you can't always get back to the convention hall except for preview night. So they kind of did us in that way. Another thing that I ran into when I was in line, and I didn't know when this happened or when it started happening, but apparently Comic-Con is offering exclusives outside of Comic-Con, which kind of defeats the purpose of what an exclusive actually is. One of the big things about going to Comic-Con is being able to get the things that you can't get anywhere else before anyone else gets them. But now you can get them on Walmart, Hot Topic, Target, Amazon. And one of the things that I found out was happening is that people are not only getting the exclusives ahead of time, but they're buying out the entire stock. So it's making it kind of impossible for people who actually go to San Diego to get their exclusives to actually get their exclusives. So that's not very cool there at Comic-Con. So hopefully that's something that you guys rectify and change in the future. You know, because it kind of sucks for those that actually made the trek all the way out there to get those exclusives. I know a few times I stood in line for hours to get it was a Cockknocker doll from Mark Hamill, but we all have our little things that we like to collect, and I like collecting the weird action figures like the George Lucas X-Wing fighter, which I have a few of, but those are things that you kind of dedicate your time to go out there and getting. One of the cool things that was going on outside of Comic-Con was the VR Con, virtual reality convention, where independent VR contractors set up booths to be able to preview their wares to the Comic-Con public. You didn't need a badge to get in. That's another cool thing. Like I tell people all the time, if you want to go check out Comic-Con, you can go check out Comic-Con. There's a lot of things to do even if you don't have a badge. The 2X VR, Stimuli VR is the name of the company. 2VR headset is what it's called. It's this cool little thing right here. You actually don't need like normal VR headgear. You kind of just put your phone into these little cradles right here, and you can, a lot of the experience apps, you can actually look and focus and it'll hit the buttons for you, which is kind of cool. That's built into the actual VR apps themselves. Some VR apps don't have that, so you actually have to touch your phone when you're using this thing. It's a little weird when you do that, but for the most part you get some pretty cool VR experiences. And I got to see France, got to tour London in VR headset while riding the subway. Also too, for your pervs, if your porn movies, this is a pretty good device for that too. Nice and discreet. But yeah, it pretty much puts VR gaming in your pocket without having to carry around a big bulky head device. It retails for $29.99, I believe, which is super cheap when it comes to VR headsets and whatnot. So if you're looking to break into the VR realm and kind of get a little exposure to it, 2VR, check them out. Stimuli VR is the name of that company. and they're available to the public now, so you can purchase that if y'all want, and I say you should want. Some other cool things that are happening at San Diego Comic-Con, of course, all the panels, if you're lucky enough to get into them. FYI, for the future, this is the worst that I've ever seen Comic-Con as far as lines go. Conan O'Brien made fun of it, calling it LineCon. It was pretty accurate to what was going on. I actually waited in line. I'm wearing the Game of Thrones shirt right here. I went in line at the Game of Thrones experience for almost close to 14 hours. No joke. 14 hours. And there's no spoilers in this one yet, but I'm going to do some spoilers later for Game of Thrones, because it's 7 shows total this season, 2 down, we only have 5 to go, so I'm not going to be holding off. I did get a Night King pop figure here from Game of Thrones for waiting in line for 13 hours. I got Game of Thrones wildfire pin also in the bag. I'm not sure if they were any different. Got the shirt. Got the cool tote bag. Also, they were doing some things like putting you in the scene, so I got to take my picture with my dog on top of the Iron Throne and on the Dragonstone throne. But then they did some cool stuff like this that I wanted to play too, because I thought that was kind of cute. But check us out. Yeah, so my dog is King of the North. I thought that was adorable. But yeah, you got that little keepsake, and then we did like a facing the White Walkers game challenge thing. So overall, would I have done it a second time? No, because it did take 13 hours to get in there, and I had to spend the night. I got online at 10:30 at night, and I got out about noon, 1 o'clock the next afternoon. So that would have been a total weekend killer if that was the only thing that I was doing. What else is going on? Oh yeah, so all the panels, Infinity Wars unveiled its latest poster. I'm going to go ahead and pop that up for you because it is a 2-parter. You can see there most of the cast on one side there, and then it goes, and it's funny because I was doing the research for this, I just kept finding pieces of the poster and didn't realize how humongous it was. But there's more right there. You can see you got I think it's Thor and Groot and Star-Lord and all the Galaxy guys on the other side. So a humongous poster. It's a big panorama. It's pretty cool. Star Wars Infinity Wars opens May 4th of next year, so we still have some time there, if you're counting the days for that. Fans of Blade Runner 2049, they're kind of, Atari's coming out with Atari. Yes, I said Atari. The old 80s game company is throwing its hat back into the arena. Not only are they providing clothing, interactive clothing, they're unveiling a hat that's got some speakers built into it. It's a Blade Runner 2049 collector's item. But they're also going to be coming up with other clothing that has speakers and other functionality built into it. But they also are coming out with a game system of their own. And they unveiled that this weekend at Comic-Con. I wanted to show you that real quick. This is the Atari, the new Atari, still unknown. It's called the Atari Box. The AtariBox.com is where you can go, not the Atari Box, but AtariBox.com you can go. The Atari Box processor is still unknown. Graphic capabilities are also unknown. The OS is also a mystery, but you have a SD slot, an HDMI output, and USB inputs, and an Ethernet port. Rumor has it that this is going to be a game that's going to rival the Nintendo NES systems. So don't look for it to be super graphically challenging. Also, Atari doesn't have the financial backing that Sony and Microsoft have right now to even really compete on that level, not even Nintendo. Atari, I believe, is a licensed name right now by another company. So, don't expect much. However, I mean, we've been surprised before, I guess. Have we, in this realm of gaming? I don't think so. But anyway. Black Eyed Peas, the music group, yes. They are coming out with a graphic novel by Marvel, and it's called Masters of the Sun. I hope to very soon. It's available now. It looks pretty stylish. They did throw a shout out to us on their Instagram, which is pretty cool. Thank you guys for that. That was kind of shocking and amazing. But take a look at some of the graphics that are inside. It's available, graphic novel, available now through Marvel Publishing. So you want to take a look at that. Black Eyed Peas. Go to our website. We have more information and links to all that there. The MDB boat was not only a huge yacht off the port of Comic-Con, but it was a place where Kevin Smith, Geek extraordinaire, was holding interviews with some of the biggest and brightest in Geek. Today, we do have a clip from one of those, but go to our website, geekspeak.tv, to be able to look at the galleries from all that. There's a lot of guests on that boat. Check out who he's got on the boat, talking about possibly appearing in the next Jay and Silent Bob movie.
But you said, whatever you're doing next, put me in it.
Oh, absolutely.
And so the next thing we're doing in October is we start shooting a movie that's a sequel to Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. It's called Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. And you're a huge character
Wonderful.
in the whole thing.
Oh,
so
great, I can't wait.
I'm doing it here, so you have to agree to do the movie.
More than agree, I insist. Can't we do a little of it now and stop wasting time?
Totally. You're absolutely right. Will you be Stan Lee, who you'll play in the movie, a real stretch?
Oh, it's not an acting role?
It's going to require you to act, though.
Well, I guess you're right. It's kind of tough to be me. All right.
All right, so you're already playing Stan Lee, and I'm going to be playing Silent Bob, so we could literally do the scene right now.
Oh, great. What is it? What is the scene?
The scene is you're trying to get information out of Silent Bob. The information you want is about where's Comic-Con? That's it. So,
I want to go to Comic-Con,
yes,
but I don't know where it is.
And you find this
What makes me think you would know?
I look like a
No, you
Comic-Conner.
look like you don't know anything.
Good point. Absolutely. Well spoken.
But if it were anything, it would be comics.
Exactly.
You do look like a comic.
I look like I might have some
Right.
knowledge of the field. All right, so that's the scene. Ready?
And that's the big scene. I say, how do I get to Comic-Con?
We're gonna see how
and
you
then
can-
you have all the great lines.
Well, we'll see. That's the thing. We'll see if
you're
your
gonna show me
performance
now.
can pull out my performance.
All right, now
If
I'm
you
going
can
to
make
act.
me
I'm
emote.
not Stan Lee. I'm a person.
Go to that place.
All right, here we go.
Here we go. And this is how movies get made, folks. Action.
Hey, fella.
You already broke character, Lee. What the hell? We're burning film, man.
Hey, fella. How do I get to Comic-Con?
This is why I only cast you in one movie. You can't get through a line without laughing at me.
No, we got to be. It's a serious thing.
Here we go. And take two. And action.
Hey, fella, how do I get to Comic-Con? Well, they respond.
Silent Bob.
Oh, you don't talk. Hey, fella, would you nod your head in the direction of Comic-Con? Thanks very much. And then I walk off, and that's my role.
And that's it. You're done.
But your role is bigger than mine. You act. You go like this. You go like that. I'm just standing looking at you.
Trust me, I'm going to write you some more lines.
I don't trust you.
No, you have to trust me on this one. I'll write you some more lines. Better than that.
Wait a minute. Instead of Silent Bob, how about if I talked? Where's your friend, the other one?
Jay?
Yeah, where's...
Somewhere around here. He was
well,
on the boat
let me
before.
ask him how to get there. Then we can have some dialogue.
That's the smart
Get the hell
thing.
out of my scene and get me Jay.
Excellent point. Ever the creator, ever the writer, the brilliant man without whom we're not here. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for this sensational Stan Lee.
Thank you. Thank you.
The man, Stan the Man Lee with Kevin Smith. What an opportunity that is. If you don't know, Stan Lee is coming out with a VR project, not his project. It's actually done by Legion M, which is a fan-based movie studio. You might remember them. They raised a Kickstarter, and the first fan-owned production company. They made Colossus recently. They're coming out with a series called Icons, and Stan Lee is the first icon that they were able to interview. And it's a VR experience, so you're going to be able to sit down with Kevin Smith, with Stan Lee, and they kind of have like a little roundtable conversation, so it's going to feel like you're actually there in the room with Stan Lee, which is awesome. Again, go to our website, geekspeak.tv, for more on galleries with Stan Lee and other people that he had. Stranger Things, the cast of Sharknado. Speaking of Sharknado, SciFi was celebrating its 25th anniversary at Comic-Con this year, and they did some pretty cool things. They had a SciFi Geek Chapel of Love. No kidding, no joke. Take a look. That is Orlando Jones, who officiated over, I believe, over 30 weddings and renewals of vows while they were down there, including stars like Ian Ziering from Sharknado and Beverly Hills 90210, who renewed his vows with his wife, and there they are with their beautiful family. Also going on along San Diego Comic-Con, which was kind of funny to see, was cosplay karaoke, which is a traveling bus where people were able to belt out their favorite tunes with geeks. That right there is also Orlando Jones in the pink, the hot pink fuchsia, I guess that would be, suit. I saw him running around with a drum line, which was also presented by SciFi. And they also provided cosplay repairs for those people who had major malfunctions, which if you do know anything about your cosplay and Comic-Con, you're going to have a wardrobe malfunction. They had carts available to help fix your cosplay, so that was really awesome of SciFi to help the geeks out that need, you know, some of those dramatic fails. I didn't actually see them myself, however, I knew that people were talking about them, they were there, and that's always awesome. One of the things that I heard about, and it is not a rumor, I actually heard this from a Fox executive I was waiting in line with, about Orville. If you don't know what Orville is, it is Seth MacFarlane's venture into the sci-fi world. Everyone, if you don't know who Seth MacFarlane is, he's the creator of Family Guy, American Dad, A Million Ways to Die in the West. Huge, funny dude. Check out the little trailer that they unveiled just for Comic-Con, and then we'll talk a little bit about that when we get back.
Cool. There's a ship available. An exploratory vessel, the USS Orville. And we're offering you command.
You're kidding. That's not bad, right?
No, it's good. Paint some flames on the side, and maybe like a rainbow unicorn. You got something.
Engage quantum drive.
We need protection.
Protection from what?
The krill.
You will die.
There's no way we're gonna be out by 5 today, are we?
You wanna open this jar of pickles for me? I loosened it for you.
We're on the edge of the frontier of explored space. That doesn't excite you?
Boom, bitch!
The Orville premieres Sunday, September 10th on Fox.
Cool.
So Sunday, September 10th on Fox. Doesn't that look well produced and funny? However, not so much. It's not, and I heard this in line again from a Fox executive, it's not a comedy at all. So from that trailer, and people are assuming that it's going to be a comedy because it's Seth MacFarlane and Jon Favreau, and it looks funny and it kind of looks like Galaxy Quest, the Tim Allen movie back in from the early 2000s. It is not. It is. It's actually what the executive told me was it's very along the lines of drama with Orange is the New Black. There are some funny moments in it and some funny elements to it. However, it is not a comedy at all. So if you're expecting comedy, don't. It's by episode 3, they said you pretty much got a good feel of what this show's all about. It does have funny moments, but it's a good show. The executive said it's a good show if people can give it a chance. And so I'm gonna say give it to episode 3 because that's what the Fox executive said. And it might be a slow warmer because again, people are expecting a comedy, and it's not a comedy. It's actually a drama. So that's Orville on Fox Sunday, September 10th. Check your local listings for times, depending on what's going on in your area. So is that all I wanted to talk about as far as Comic-Con goes? Yeah, plan accordingly. Next year is probably going to be even worse. I mean, it's not getting any better. Nothing we can do about that. Honestly, I think it's some time for some Game of Thrones. I was going to put something up earlier, so I'm putting this up right now. We have a new trailer for our spoiler, so we're going to talk some Game of Thrones. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to get out of the room right now. Spoilers! I love it. That was awesome. So, Game of Thrones, if you haven't been watching, you've been living under a rock, if you've been waiting for the whole thing to end, now's a good time to start watching, catching up, getting up to date. This is a spoiler-heavy segment of the show, so I make no apologies because you were warned by our awesome graphic. One of the things that I got from Comic-Con that I wanted to show you, but it is a spoiler, so I waited till after. I got this in line as well when waiting for this t-shirt and the Game of Thrones experience, was this cool artwork of House Frey. And you can see that that's Lord Frey right there. And then, yeah, he's pouring out the goblet of wine. And it says, it's entitled Winter Has Come for House Frey. So if you haven't known, the first scene of the first episode, Lord Frey is toasting his kinsmen and congratulating them on murdering the Starks. However, they weren't good enough and they didn't take care of all of the Starks, what they should have done. Because you leave one alive and they'll come for you. And she did. I'm not going to spoil it all the way completely, but just so you know, that's pretty much spoiler right there. There's 5 shows left, period, dot. There's 2 shows down, so if you've been keeping up to date, you can kind of see how things are really going to have to start picking up in the next episode, because the White Walkers are coming and they're still fighting over the thrones. And Jon Snow is the only person besides Samwell who has actually seen the White Walkers, so there's a sense of urgency in him to, like, you know what, we got to quash this war, get the right people in the where they need to be, because we need to get all these armies and as many surviving men as possible up north to fight the White Walkers, because they're a-coming. If you haven't noticed too, in the intros of Game of Thrones, they are keeping up to date with the storylines. The water next to the wall has completely frozen over, which is an interesting fan theory I read. The White Walkers might not actually have to scale the wall, they can just walk around it because the ocean borders. So I don't know how far the wall goes or how far around the wall goes, but if you take a look at the opening intro, you can see it. The ocean has already frozen over because winter is here. There's no doubt about that. In the first season opener, episode 1, Arya is moving back towards King's Landing because Cersei is queen, she says. She must murder. There's a huge, just people are calling it jumping the shark moment, where I'm even forgetting his name already, appeared in the first episode. We might have saw some of the memes, thank goodness. It's kind of died down. It really did pull you out of the whole story. Some pop singer was, you know, a Lannister soldier, and big hubbub about it, but luckily it's died down because there's more important things. The White Walkers are coming. So Arya is heading back to the Queen, but then she runs into Pot Pie, I believe like she calls him. Her buddy from when she was pretending to be a boy. He's working in a tavern and tells her that her home has been freed from and Jon Snow is back in charge, and you know, she thought that the big lady, he calls her, would have told her that, you know, just go home. So instead of going towards the Queen, she heads back up north. The Hound is also on his own. He's not with Arya anymore, and he runs across some Lannister soldiers who show him a vision in the fire of what's to come, and how he still has, Clegane has a big part to play still and can do some good despite a lifetime of being a douche and a douchebag. He also, I believe is in episode 2, runs across the old man and little girl that he had saw last season, and he took their silver. Unfortunately, they didn't pan out so well, so you kind of see some humanity return to Clegane as he's slowly dealing with the fact that there is a bigger picture involved here. Daenerys is sailed back on and has landed in what's called Dragonstone. That's the first name of the first episode, so it's her taking over that throne, which is the ancient castle of her ancestors. So it's called Dragonstone. It's actually built on a mountain of dragon glass, Samwell finds out. So Samwell sends a raven to Jon, letting him know that, look, there's a whole mountain of dragon glass sitting on Dragonstone. At the same exact time, Daenerys calls out to Jon via Tyrion's recommendation to try to make peace with him, the King of the North, to come down, and she says to bend knee in front of her. So she is definitely taking the reign of the Seven Kingdoms and is calling herself queen. John, like I said, he seems to have things in perspective and knows that he doesn't really care. He doesn't really want to be king anyway. Just like he wanted to be master of the Night Watch. He just has responsibility and he handles it. So he's going to go down this. Hopefully, he's going to be in episode 3. You're going to see John and Daenerys meet face to face for the first time, and Daenerys is told by the Red Witch to listen to John, because what he's seen with his own eyes. And then Tyrion also happens to mention that he's a man of character, so he won't lie. So he's somebody to be believed and trusted in. Jorah Mormont, he ends up at the Citadel with Samwell while Samwell's studying, and he hears that he is a Mormont, and he remembers him from taking care of. He was the Maester's apprentice, who was his father or grandfather, I believe. I'm not too sure which one it was, but he's got the grayscale and he's dying, and Daenerys told him to go get healed and to return to her. So he's writing a very heartfelt letter, which is kind of sad, when Samwell bursts into his room and says, "You're not going to die today." And he's got this method that can cure his grayscale. It's going to be very painful, very risky procedure that the only person who's managed to complete it also died from. So Samwell's taking a big risk. Hopefully he can pull this off, but it's kind of gross and icky if you watch it. If you haven't seen it, yeah, it's nice. Grey Worm and Missandei hook up. Kind of answered a big question of how he does. So he'll be excellent at going down if you have no penis, apparently, is what he pulls off. But that was kind of a big deal as well on Game of Thrones. The Grey Worm's little worm. But hey, you know what? True love conquers all. The episode 2 kind of ends on a real big downer. I felt really bad for Theon. A lot of people were really harsh on Theon, but it's one of those things where, hey man, poor guy's got PTSD. They really mess with him bad. And it shows up in this latest episode, where he and his sister Yara are sailing back with the desert rats to Dorne to pick up the sand snakes. I'm sorry, not desert rats. The sand snakes, to pick up the Dorne army and sail back to Dragonstone to march on Cersei. But they are attacked on their way down by Euron, the uncle, in the Silence, and the sand snakes are killed. And Theon, when he's sees Yara under the knife of her uncle, bails, basically jumps off the ship because his PTSD comes back hardcore. One of the cool things about that I read also, that they did film it, and I was kind of like, well, that's pretty violent. The crewmen, Euron's crewmen, the name of the ship is called the Silence, and they were cutting the tongues out of the Iron Fleet. Reason being is that Euron replaces his crew with captured sailors of other crews, and to keep them from mutinying and from talking back and from being insubordinate, he cuts out their tongues, and that's why his ship is called the Silence. So cool little thing for you to look for when you're watching Game of Thrones. Kind of hardcore graphic. But this show's really heating up. Like I said, the White Walkers are coming. Hopefully we'll get to see more action in the next episode of Game of Thrones. But that pretty much wraps it up for me for this week. Yeah, go to our website, geekspeak.tv. There's a bunch of links to our social media and whatnot, so you can find us and get notifications. Make sure you subscribe to our channel if you're here right now, and so you get updates of when we're going to be broadcasting in the future. Thank you again so much for you guys watching. You guys take care and have a great weekend.